Hello! It's Rebecca, and I am finally sharing my August bullet journal setup in this video. The month has finally arrived, which means that it is time to go to my 17 concerts. In honor of that, I decided to choose a song from their most recent album called darl+ing. It is their first English release as a full group, and I tried to incorporate little aspects from their music video throughout this theme. On the cover, I started by making the title. At the very beginning of the music video, some of the boys are seen playing Scrabble, so I decided to use Scrabble pieces as the basic title for my spreads. I drew a rounded square for each piece and colored them in a light brown. Then I added a drop shadow to the bottom and right side of the squares to add that depth and to make them look more like tiles. With a thicker fineliner, I wrote each letter in a very simple sans serif font in the center, and then in the bottom right-hand side of the tile, I wrote the corresponding point value of each letter according to Scrabble. Above the title, I drew a small teddy bear doodle with a ribbon and a heart drawn on it. For the head, I started with a large circle and 2 half circles for the ears. I also drew 2 smaller half circles to make the inner part of the ears. Then towards the bottom of the circle, I drew an oval for the snout and drew in 2 dots for the eyes, a triangle for the nose, and curved lines for the mouth. This teddy bear references the one that Woozy holds in the music video, and since it had a bow and a heart on it, I wanted to draw those on the bear as well. To finish off the bear, I drew longer ovals for the arms, gumdrop shapes for the feet, and connected the body using slightly curved lines. In order to make the teddy bear look fluffy, I made some of the edges in the outline less smooth and added small lines throughout the doodle using a thin fineliner to give it texture. While waiting for the doodle to dry, I drew sparkles and circles around the title and the bear to give it that more magical look. There are a few references to the story of Peter Pan throughout the music video, and that inspired the bright and magical look of the spread. Once the outline for the bear fully dried, I colored the heart red, the bow pink, and colored the bear light brown. I went over some of the spots like the inner ear and feet to give the bear more depth and shadows. I think that the doodle came out super well though, and it makes me really happy looking at it. Before I forget to mention it, this whole cover page was inspired by Pages by Amy on Instagram. She did a similar theme in honor of Valentine's Day, but I changed it up so that it fit with the theme in my bullet journal. One of the techniques she used to add a softer touch to her drawing was adding a second outline that alternated between long and short dotted lines around the bear using a thin fineliner. Flowers and greenery are seen throughout the music video, so I decided to incorporate flowers as the main doodle to be carried throughout the spreads. On the bottom left and top right of the page, I drew some small flowers and will make them look like they are hanging on vines. For the flowers, I started with a yellow dot for the middle of each flower. Then I drew either 4, 5, or 6 dots to be the petals around the yellow dot. For the petals, I used purple, orange, and pink because I wanted softer colors to match the vibes from the music video. These flowers were incredibly simple, but I think that they went perfectly with this theme. To finish the cover page, I then connected the flowers by drawing a green line through them like a vine, as well as a green border around the page. On my song lyric page for August, I decided to choose the lyrics that June sings. They read, "Darling with me under the sun, I know that you're my one." I debated between those lyrics and another line in the chorus, but I'm happy I chose these lyrics. They feel very carefree and happy, which is what I wanted out of this theme. I combined a script font, a simple lowercase sans serif font, and the Scrabble tiles for all of the lyrics. I was initially going to letter the words in the script font, but I ended up just doing the faux calligraphy because it was faster for me and had a smaller chance of me messing it up. Also, around the middle of the page, I drew 2 flowers in the same method from the cover page and a green line connecting them. Then I drew a variety of small doodles at the bottom of the page with more objects found in the music video. The doodles included a smiley face, a green leafy plant in a flower pot, and some books. For the plant and the books, I ended up tracing the doodle with a fineliner just to add in some of the details that were lost with the markers. I think that the song is very heartfelt, and I can truly tell how much 17 loves their fans with the music that they produce. The song is upbeat, but I still feel like it is warm, welcoming, and comforting. It's actually kind of interesting because their music video takes a bit of a turn to the darker theme, but for this bullet journal, I will just be focusing on their happy vibes. I really like how this lyric page turned out. It was simple enough, and I love that the doodles are all nods to the music video. On the monthly, I started out with the same Scrabble tiles title that I used on the previous pages. I decided that this page will have a calendar on the left, and then I'm going to leave a section on the right for the 17 concerts. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with this section, but it will either be for planning or for recording memories from my trips and the concerts. After finishing the titles, I decided to outline the boxes for the calendar. Something that I've come to realize in terms of bullet journaling is that I'm quite lazy, so having the cover, the song lyrics, the monthly, and the weeklies is enough for me. I'm actually really happy that I got rid of the habit tracker. I didn't use it often enough last year, so it was actually a good thing that I stopped making that spread. Once the outline was finished, I highlighted the top of the calendar and wrote out the days of the week. Then to finish the calendar, I added the dates in the bottom right of each corner of the boxes. Since there was still some space, I added the flower pattern from the cover to the bottom right hand side of the page and then outlined the section for the 17 concerts. I don't know if I've mentioned it quite yet, but I will be seeing 17 3 times this tour. I'm really excited because I got front row floor tickets, but also I got to experience the concert with a lot of different friends. I'm a bit nervous because I'm meeting some of my friends in real life for the first time, but for the most part, I'm just eager to meet them. Of course, I will be sure to vlog my experiences and get them up on my channel in the future, but yeah, this will be a very simple but useful monthly spread. Finishing up the spreads for this month, I decided to do a quick 4-week weekly spread. Like in the previous months, I cut off the right-hand side of the page to create the Dutch door. For the title, I drew the Scrabble tiles on the left with the abbreviation for August. In the empty space around the title letters, I drew some bigger flower doodles from the previous pages. It's nice because you can see the petals more clearly on these doodles. Underneath the title, I made a mini calendar by highlighting the top where I wrote the days of the week and then just added all of the numbers to the calendar. To fill the space in the bottom left, I drew a small glass bottle vase with flowers and leaves sticking out of it. I started by drawing the outline for the bottle and then used different colors to draw a variety of flowers like a sunflower and a pink tulip. I also drew a purple and orange flower before just drawing in some extra leaves around the doodle. On the bottle, I added a light gray shadow on the bottom and right hand side. Once that was done, I decided to go back over the flowers and leaves with a black fine liner to give details to the doodles. I actually am in love with how this doodle turned out. To fill in the right-hand side of the spread, I added a sun doodle to the top right. The initial album that this song came out on is called Face the Sun, so it was only fitting to do this doodle. You can also spot a sun symbol similar to this in the music video, so I started with a yellow circle and then added squiggles as the rays. I started using yellow, but then I outlined the entire sun in orange. I knew that I was going to add a note section to the spread, but it also felt like too much empty space, so in the bottom right I drew the design for the plus sign that they used in the darl+ing logo in a light brown. In an interview, they mentioned that the plus sign is a symbol to describe 17 and their fans being together, and I think that is very sweet of them. Finally, I drew a flower border to divide the sections of the days of the week and wrote the day and date at the top of each section. I usually take this time to give a small life update, but I already mentioned the big upcoming events regarding going to the 17 concerts. I suppose that I can share that I will be launching a new YouTube channel for all of my Twitch and gaming content. I'm really excited about it because I will finally get to keep all of my memorable moments from my streams somewhere. It's kind of crazy to me that it's almost been a year since I've been an affiliate on Twitch, but streaming has been one of the most rewarding things for me this past year. I've really enjoyed building a community and meeting so many wonderful people on the platform. And yeah, Before I forgot, on the right hand side, I also highlighted a spot where I added the title notes, but that is it for my extremely quick and easy weekly spread. For the final flip through of the August theme, let me know in the comments if you were able to spot the different nods to the music video Darling by 17. I love the song, and I'm even more excited to hear the live vocals at the concerts. Thank you so much for watching, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!